Just go to YouTube and type in Pariscope, P-A-R-I-S-Cope. See us there today, or if you want to check out our archive, just go to Adversaries TV, and you can find it there. Mike McBath, chairman of the board, back in the South tonight. There he is.
Chris, I'm excited about this is unique political news.
How's that?
Did you know that Charlie Crist is running again? I don't know what party he's running for. I don't know what drug company he's going to represent. I'm not sure what state he's going to be running, but they announced today he's running for Congress, which we'll be able to delve into that certainly a little bit later.
Yeah, and by the way, we're going to have B. Brian Blair, part of the Killer Bees tag team champions, who was a county commissioner over there in Hillsborough County. He's going to join us Friday, so I'm sure he'll have some inside scoop, because Chris is going to run over in St. Petersburg area.
I know. I couldn't even believe it when I saw that. I said, "Are you kidding me? When does this guy stop?" I figured he's probably going to run for the Socialist Party or something. I don't know where he's.
It's like a nasty case of athlete's foot. You just can't get rid of it, you know? No matter what you try, you spray everything on it. Golly, you want to put a blowtorch on it. All right, we also have in the studio with us this afternoon Colonel Danny McKnight. Colonel, thanks again for being with us on the show.
Oh, happy to be here, especially if we get to talk about Charlie Crist.
He's one of your favorite people, I think.
Oh, man, unbelievable. All I can call him, for lack of any other words, a political prostitute. That's all I can think of,
Well, I think that pretty well fits
he's jumping from party to party. He jumps around.
Exactly right.
Depending who has the money and what drug company he can represent.
Unbelievable.
You got to remember one thing about Danny. He's an FSU fan, and they're on top. So this guy is riding high.
Yeah, we'll be talking about.
He may ride high the whole year. I can tell you that the way it's going.
I know. I was hoping that there'd be that Florida FSU game would be the two undefeated teams, but
well, they got their loss, but that was a tough loss. They played very well.
No, they did. I thought they were very competitive considering what happened the week before.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk a little bit more about some football later. We're going to talk some politics. By the way, the Colonel has brought his wife Linda with him. So
she's Penn State proud, in case you don't know.
She and Mike have something in common, and they are Penn State alums.
We're just not sure where.
All right, and before we really get rolling along here, I'd like to remind you folks that this week the Salem Media Group is running a radiothon to save the babies, and we would like you folks to help us out doing just that. And as we were explaining on the show last night, many of the girls and women who go to these places like True Life Choice, where they provide sonograms, pregnancy centers, they can't afford any, sonograms or health care or something like that. And Obamacare is not going to pay for it for them. Many of them don't have Obamacare. So it's up to donors to supply these organizations with the lifeblood, if you will, to run these places day in and day out, to help pay the bills, to help pay the technicians, the nurses, and the medical staff, to help keep the lights on and the buildings open. So that's what Save the Babies is all about, and we're asking you folks to contribute however your heart moves you to contribute. And it's real easy to do. As a matter of fact, we got a new way that you can help out today. First of all, you can go to am660theanswer.com, and by the way, there's a menu there. You can see what, for instance, a $59 donation would do, and there are other donation levels there as well, and of course any amount, small and or large, is acceptable. am660theanswer.com, and they have an 800 number now set up as well. 1-800 or just 800-357-1997. 800-357, just think of a 357 mag, right? 800-357-1997. 1-800-357-1997. And that's where you can help save the babies. And we'll be repeating this throughout the show, so if you didn't get that number, we'll bring it up again later. But once again, this is a special effort that Salem Media Group is participating in this week, so please help us make it a success. All right, speaking of success, Donald Trump appears to still be successful at yanking chains and raising poll numbers at the same time. There's a new Wall Street Journal NBC poll out that shows him having moved up in the poll from 21 to 25% since September. Ben Carson moved up from 20 to 22%. Marco Rubio moved up from 11 to 13. Ted Cruz moved up from 5 to 9. Jeb moved up 1 from 7 to 8. Carly Fiorina moved down from 11 to 7, and pretty much everybody else either stayed the same or moved down as well. But Moby Dick swims on, and the Ahabs fall by the side again.
You know what I think is happening, though? In the beginning, when Trump came out, everybody was sort of amused, and it was interesting, and do we really think he could do this or could do that? Now we're realizing this guy is certainly very capable, not only in all his businesses, but in politics itself. And in the beginning, you might say, well, somebody said, are you going to vote for Donald Trump? You might go, oh, I don't know. You know what I say now? Yeah, I'm definitely voting for him, and so is my whole family, my relatives, and everybody else. And the reason is I want somebody in there who can make a decision. I don't care if you're right or wrong. Get something done. And that's where I think the public's headed on this issue. And I'm not going to be embarrassed now going, oh, yeah, I think I'm right, but don't tell anybody. No, I'm voting for him. I've had it after, like, the day in Congress on the sanctuary city deal. Nothing gets done,
We're going to talk about that later, too. Harry Reid is up to his old shenanigans. And this is something I've been saying, that the next president, be it a Republican, is going to have to deal with a balky Congress, who the Democrats are going to do everything they can in the Senate to thwart their programs, and perhaps even some of the Republicans will do that. They did it to Ronald Reagan. Did you know that Bob Dole was working against Ronald Reagan's tax cuts?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to take somebody who's got some sale ability. And then you have this thing with Jeb Bush and what he said about W. First of all, Colonel, you've obviously sort of a little aware of the lead up to 9/11. There was a lot of intelligence out there. We already knew who bin Laden was, did we not?
We know who bin Laden was way back before either Bush even got involved. Oh, yeah.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Well, look at Oliver North. He can tell you about a whole bunch of those things associated even that far back.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks, oh, he was only associated with that other thing down in South America and all that kind of stuff. No, Oliver North talked about a lot of things. Everybody, I think, should understand, bin Laden didn't just appear, the day President Bush took over. He had been around.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm trying to recall who it was that was there before President Bush. I think, is it right that it was the Clinton administration? So if we want to start talking about where did it started then, during the Clinton administration, okay, way back then.
Yeah.
I mean, there was association with things in Somalia that had to do with bin Laden. So it's not new.
As a matter of fact, bin Laden made it clear in an interview he gave to ABC News. I don't know if you remember it, but this was obviously well before 9/11, where he said in that interview to the American public, he knew he was addressing the American public, so he was talking to us. He said, one of the reasons why they were continuing to do what they do, because, now I take that back. He may not have been addressing the American public, but anyway, he was saying that one of the reasons why we continue to grow and be powerful is because the United States has proved themselves to be a paper tiger, and Somalia was the incident that he would talk about. He would say, after Black Hawk Down, look, they cut and ran. And I know, for instance, that you guys wanted to stay and finish your mission, did you not?
Absolutely. I mean, that was the plan the whole time. General Garrison never said, I want to leave, okay?
No, that came from Mr. Clinton, the fellow you were just talking about.
Yeah, we even brought I had another Ranger company come over there on the ground, and Delta Force brought another squadron to replace, to get beefed up from what we had just been through. So we weren't even thinking about leaving.
Y'all were thinking to take care of business.
Exactly.
Is what y'all were getting ready to do.
And so,
and then Clinton pulls your eyes out. See, the signal that he sent to bin Laden was, you can get away with anything you want. You can kill as many Americans as you want. You can kill as many soldiers as Rangers. You can drag them through the streets.
Yep.
And you can get away with it.
And, as I have said before, and I've written about it, bin Laden had a terrorist training camp in the country of Sudan that sent fighters over to assist Mohammed Faradi. I mean, that is 100 confirmed by the FBI that there was a terrorist training camp of Osama bin Laden in Sudan, and he assisted Mohammed Faradi. I mean, so to say that it just started or anything, but see, I think it's wrong that it really irritated me, I'll be honest with you, when Donald Trump opened his stupid mouth and attacked President Bush. Because I personally, I think that was absolutely wrong. And I think Trump needs to do a little homework to go back like we just did to where it started.
Well, there's a lot of people who'd agree with you on that. And I was been a big fan of George W.'s for a long time, too. But as it turns out, now, and I talked about this on the show Sunday night after it was fresh. And I said on that show that what he was doing actually was baiting Jeb Bush. He was baiting Jeb Bush to react to it, and what he was addressing, though, in particular, was the question at the debate, the second debate when they were in the Reagan Library, and one of Bush's highlights of the night was when he said, and I don't remember exactly the context of the question and answer, but he was addressing Trump, and he said, in case you don't recall, my brother kept us safe while he was president. And Trump didn't respond at that point, but the point he was making this past weekend was to address that question. He was saying, and Jeb said we were safe. Well, no, we weren't safe because 9/11 happened on his watch. He said, now you can blame him or not, but 9/11 happened on his watch. So, yes, we were safe after 9/11, but 9/11 did. So he was basically attacking the way Jeb had addressed the question. In other words, Jeb should have said, to be more precise, my brother kept us safe after 9/11.
After 9/11.
Now, let me finish. When he was questioned, I believe today or yesterday, Trump was asked about Clinton. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, oh, yeah, he's responsible, too. There's no question about it. And he said, and then he quoted himself from a book that he wrote entitled The America We Deserve, where he, in essence, predicted 9/11. He said there will be, not if or when, a large-scale attack in this country that will make the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center look like peanuts. And he said, furthermore, we need to go after this guy named Osama bin Laden. We need to get him. We need to kill him. I don't know if he used the word kill him, but he certainly said we need to get this guy. And this book came out in early 2000. So it was published about 18 months prior to 9/11.